What's up, y'all? Welcome to Gate City Sports Media. My name is Steve. You're on the Gate City Sports channel. Monday, December 27th. The title says it all, doesn't it, ladies and gents? The Philadelphia Eagles have a really, really slow start, end up blowing out the New York football team. I'm not even going to give them a name, so we're just going to call them the football team, like the Washington football team, because the decision to start who they started at quarterback and Jake from State Farm, horrible decision by their coaching staff. No clue what they're thinking about starting that young man. I would love to give Gannon props because the defense gave him no respect early in the football game. I felt like as we started to really and clearly take control of the football game, maybe Gannon backed off of him a little bit, especially once they put Glennon in and the game was clearly out of control. But I don't know why they made the decision to start who they started. But I don't really care. I'll take the victory. That was their decision. They can live on that one. Here's what I will say. What an ugly start to the first half. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most was how bad the timing and the rhythm of the offense was early in the game. And it just felt like nothing could go right early in this football game. And that kind of shocked me a little bit. Like, I couldn't believe just how ineffective we were at driving the football early in the game. It starts off with the opening initial kickoff to where Kenneth Gainwell fumbles it. We're pretty fortunate to recover it. No harm, no foul. Things happen. We move on, right? Still, an ugly start to a football game. We come out and look, we throw the football and we drop back, and I'm looking at my game notes here, guys, and it's like 5 out of the first 6 plays are passing plays, which, I get sometimes you scheme things differently for different people, but it was questionable to me, to say the least, to go that heavy into a pass team where the weakness of the team you're playing is in their run game. Their pass defense is fairly good. It may not be like top, 10 pass defense in terms, but the talent level on that team is good, even if they're missing pieces. Even if an Adoree Jackson is not out there, they still have talent. It just, schematically, I was a little confused of what Nick was trying to do. I'm listening to the commentators in the game. And before I ever say anything, guys, I always like to see the game a second time just to clarify that, okay, maybe they're getting that the view from the booth, so they're seeing things we're not seeing from a TV copy, and we have to wait for the coaches' film to see it. But I didn't understand some of the comments. So they're telling us like, oh, Nick's trying to spread them out. I didn't agree. That's not what I saw, guys. I saw the first drive of the game was really tight to formation. I saw double wings. I saw mostly wing formation stuff there. To me, it's the exact opposite of trying to spread you out. I thought that they were trying to confuse them with the formations and the looks, trying to sell run when they're really trying to pass the ball. That's what I thought I saw early in the game. What's up, Al Kabir? What's up, D-Rock Sr.? Appreciate you guys. I put this out on Twitter, and I said something on Twitter, guys, where I tweeted out at the end of the first half. I said, look, I'm not going to put this on any one person, player or coach. Everyone was doing a bad job. But in saying that, it was bigger than one player, right? Sirianni's game plan, I don't know, maybe had to do with the fact that he was away from the football team. Maybe he wasn't leading it as much as we were led to believe. I don't know what went on there, guys, but the flow was really messed up early in this football game. I'm going to illustrate some points here. The second thing is that, early on in the game, Jalen was a little off. His throwing base, I got questions about. I can't judge it yet, guys. I have to see the all-22 to judge his throwing base, but there are a couple plays in particular that I definitely want to go back and I want to see, where I don't think his base was right. One of them was that kind of the throw out in the flats to Miles Sanders, to where he threw the ball behind him and it was just an ugly looking pass. The other one was out to Rager it wasn't going to convert anything, but it would have set up a way more manageable third down where the ball just really didn't come out right. So I want to look at the base on those throws. But I mean, like Sirianni's game plan, I didn't understand what he was trying to do early in the game. In terms of, it's not necessarily like the play calls weren't effective. It's like knowing your football team and knowing what you do best and putting them in the best position. It's really a game management thing more than it is like a play calling thing. Like, it's play calling through the lens of game management, if that makes sense. Then we start getting the stupid penalties. We had penalties that were just killing us when we were setting things up and doing well, right? Dallas Goedert gets called for a stupid penalty with a block in the back, I believe. And then we get the inconsistencies of the players around Jalen Hurts, where they start dropping passes that just kill us, right? I mean, first pass of the game goes out to Goddard. He drops the football. It's like, okay, here we go. Then, we have Hurts holding it too long. He gets the ball stripped from him. We recover it. We're very fortunate there, right? The tunnel screen out to Devontae Smith gets tipped. Let me think. What else? The comeback to the flats to Sanders, and Sanders drops a ball that hits him right in the chest. I don't know if he converts that, but there's an opportunity. Jalen Reagor tries to, or Jalen Hurts tries to step up in the pocket, tries to make a pass. Great decision. It shows some growth from the quarterback. He's understanding that, sometimes you don't have to run out of the pocket to elude pass rush. You just need to step up. Unfortunately, the way that the pocket was collapsing around him, when he steps up, he's still getting interfered with on his throwing motion. Barely gets the ball off to Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor has to drop down, grab the ball. Just chaos, man. It's disruption. The whole first 4 or 5 series of the game were just disrupted. We try to set up a 3rd and 17 screen that gets deflected. I believe that was to Jordan Howard, which I thought was a really smart play call, given the down and distance we were trying to throw the football into. You know what I mean? I thought it was a smart decision, but it just didn't work out. It's just, look at all these disruptions, right? You have the Gainwell, the fumble. You have the Goddard drop. You have Hurts pushing the ball on 3rd down on the first possession that should have never made that throw. It almost got picked. Should have been picked, to be quite honest. That was a really bad decision on Hurts' side of things. Reagor with the really tough punt return decision where he gets tracked down from behind and gets caught, right? We get the tunnel screen. He gets tipped to Devontae Smith. Hurts holds the ball too long, gets stripped. We have a comeback to the flats where Sanders drops it. Hurts tries to step up on the 3rd possession and make a smart football decision, which I agree with everything he did there. It just, luck falls on the side of the Giants, and they're able to get to him, and the pass can't really be given in a way to get Reagor going to pick up a first down on that play. Then, you get the throw that's off platform to Sanders. It looks like his base is wrong there on the 4th possession. We get an illegal block in the back by Dallas Goedert on that 4th possession, which sets us up for, now 2nd and 3rd and long. Ugly throw by Hurts to Jalen Hurts on that 2nd down, on 2nd and 17. And then on 3rd and 17, we have the deflection happens. The rhythm was completely off of this offense, man. I mean, guys dropping footballs. Hurts, trying, here's the thing. I'm not trying to kill a young man for doing what we've all been asking him to do, which is being tougher in the pocket, give things time to develop downfield, go through your progressions and find the open guy. He's trying to do that. Sometimes these type of things happen. That's kind of the exchange, right? There's a trade-off for everything. That's the trade-off. 4th possession, I thought I saw a little momentum happening here. Gainwell gets the ball, takes it to the 25. Jordan Howard. Now we start coming in. We have Jordan Howard going a little bit more power with this game, right? Jordan Howard comes in, double wing, gets 5 yards for us, right? Then we get the no gain to Jordan Howard. But then Jalen Hurts, guys, makes, a really, really great slide in the pocket. He slides left in the pocket, turns back, looks right, sees what's going on downfield with Devontae Smith, and just, absolutely throws a dime out there. It was a good throw to Devontae Smith. It was a great decision by him. That's growth from a quarterback, in my opinion. Then you get, Sanders up the middle. You can see we're kind of leading our way back into the running game a little bit now. Now you got 3 runs in this one possession. And then you get a crazy good pass built off of this where you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, some of y'all were chiming in, prior to the first Washington game. I had people that kept asking me, Gate, you study quarterbacks, you've coached quarterbacks, you've played the position. What's Jalen Hurts' best throw? And I told you guys, outside the numbers. He's really good throwing the ball outside the numbers. Well, you know what? That pass to Jalen Reagor is a pretty good illustration of what I'm saying, because he has this crazy good outside the numbers pass to Jalen Reagor to where, he threads the needle. If that ball's off a little bit, it's probably picked. It was a great throw. I'm not gonna necessarily say that was a great decision. It was a heck of a placement of the football. That's when they talk about when they saying throwing the ball into NFL windows, ball placement, where ball placement really matters. That's part of the element of this, guys. But then you get the development of a quarterback, and the very next play, he tries to pump fake, and he throws a pretty dangerous throw to Smith. I understand what he was trying to do on that Devontae Smith play. They're trying to manipulate the safety in the corner because they have coverage responsibility there. They didn't bite on it. They've seen that play too many times in film study clearly. They were all over that play. Then we get the drop on the tunnel screen. So here comes our old friend again. We have a drop from Jalen Reagor on the tunnel screen. We get bailed out by a neutral zone infraction, which sets us up to be in a pretty good situation. Shout out to coaching staff. They go right back to Jalen Reagor on the tunnel screen. They're not going to give this young man time to feel sorry about himself. They go right back to him. Makes a good catch. Converts what would have been the first down. But then we get the pass interference on Smith. We get a PI on Smith, which ends up with the Boston Scott run. And the cherry on top of the way the game started, the first 5 possessions of this game, the way things started, we miss a field goal. So let's just go back and let's talk about rhythm of the football team, right? Gainwell fumbles the opening kickoff. Goddard drops the pass. Jalen Hurts makes a really bad decision to try to push things on third down. We get away. It should have been an interception. We get away with it. Luckily, the guy dropped the ball. Your ground caught it a little too much. Rager has a really tough a really tough punt return decision where he gets tracked down and gets caught from behind. Tunnel screen gets tipped to Devontae Smith. Hurts holds the ball too long, gets stripped. And then we come back to the flats to Sanders with an opportunity to actually possibly have an opportunity to convert. He drops it. Sanders drops the football. Third possession, Rager finally makes a good decision. The ball goes into the end zone. You get what you desire from that, right? You're getting that desirable outcome that you want there. Hand off to Sanders. Now we're starting to mix the running game in finally on the third possession a little bit more. Jalen Hurts tries to step up in the pocket, tries to make that pass going out to Rager. He gets interfered with a little bit. It doesn't go our way. Ball doesn't bounce right. But at least in the third possession, I thought to see that, okay, Sirianni's steering the wheel back in the right direction. Fourth possession. This is where the penalties and the boneheaded things kind of catch us again. We get Hurts throws off base to the flats to say, I'm assuming it's off base, guys. I need the all-22 to confirm that. But it looked like an off base throw to me out to the flats to Sanders. The ball's behind him. Then we get a really great run by Sanders. But then the next play, we go back to Sanders again, and we get an illegal block in the back by Dallas Goedert. So now we're backed up against the sticks. We get an ugly throw from Hurts out there on 2nd and 17, trying to push the ball out there to Rager. Looks like Rager has some separation. The ball just comes out of Jalen Hurts' hands wrong. I'm not too sure what happened, guys. I got to see the angles a little better than that. What they showed us on the game, the TV copy. 3rd and 17, they try to set up a screen. It gets deflected to Jordan Howard. That was how our 4th possession ended. Then you go into the 5th possession of the game. Things start building. Jalen Hurts makes 2 dime throws. I mean, really, really good throws. Makes one out there, sliding the pocket to the left, comes back to the right side of the field, finds Devontae Smith, gets the football in his hands. A-plus quarterback play there. Makes an absolute dime of a throw to the sidelines, outside the numbers to Jalen Rager, converts first down. Then we get the dangerous pump fake throw to Smith. We get a drop by Rager. We get a pass interference call on Devontae Smith, and we get a missed field goal. That's how the game started. We're 3-3 going into half. That ain't where the game ended, though, guys. And I think that's an important distinction here. It's not how we ended the game. We ended the game by scoring 30-some unanswered points. And I'll be honest with you. I want my 40 burger, Nick. I don't know what y'all think y'all doing. Get back on the field. We could have put 40 up on this team. We missed a field goal that would have put us at 37. We took our foot off, not trying to embarrass them. Embarrass them, man. They almost ended our season a few weeks ago. They didn't end it, clearly, but they tried to. They tried to do everything they could do to spin us into a tailspin. I wouldn't have taken my foot off the gas pedal personally. My personal opinion, I'm not taking the foot off. I'm not taking my foot off the gas pedal on that team. I'm putting up a 40 burger on them. I would have ended that game 40-something to 10. Now, I'm going to get to a few of your guys' questions. What's up, BLSG? How you doing, man? I'm doing good, guys. Hey, I'm feeling good, BLSG. I'm feeling good about the win, man. Look, I'm a little concerned about the way some of the game went. But with that said, man, you play the competition that's in front of you, and we're destroying the competition that's been in front of us this past 2 weeks. So slow starts in both games. A little concerned about those slow starts, but we're taking control of the game in the second half, and we're putting teams away. We'll see how they do against better competition. It's going to come eventually. What's up, Dilly Philly? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, Damon. I agree, my guy. Damon said, the 4 drops were super frustrating. Jalen wasn't perfect, but when his guys aren't helping him, I think it makes it hard for him to get in rhythm. Yeah, everything does, right? From the play calling to, his own issues with, he had some off-base stuff going on. I think he was throwing from a bad base at times. I think that contributed to it. He's trying to do what the coaches are asking him to do. He's trying to hang longer and tougher in the pocket. And I think that causes some of the strips, some of the decisions where you just got to be faster with the football. You got to be faster with the decisions there. All the way to what you're saying, man. If you're dropping passes, you're going to throw the offense out of sync. It's going to throw it out of rhythm. There's 100%. There's no doubt about that, Damon. And I know of course, a former quarterback and a quarterback coach says that. It's always the receiver's fault. And you're right. It's always the receiver's fault. I'm joking, but yeah, I mean, the 4 drops. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, that sucks, man. That can't happen. You just can't have that happen. What's up, Miss Johnson? How you doing? If we win next week, it's a wrap. Let's get it done. Yeah, I agree. If we win next week and Dallas has already clinched everything, they got a big decision on their hand, don't they? I mean, think about it, Marianne. If they win next week, if we win next week, and Dallas has already clinched, the only reason they have is to try to pick who they want in the playoffs. Do they want to play? So, say they're a second seed, because if they're a second seed, they got to play the seventh seed. Would they rather play Philly? Would they rather play Minnesota or another team? I mean, there is a possibility the Eagles could potentially snag the sixth seed, but I think we're going to probably be the seventh seed if we sneak in. And I still think we got some, you got to go win those games. Nothing's given. You got to win the games first. But I definitely think there's a chance that we're going to win these football games, to be quite honest. Philly, the podcast. What's up, my guy? How you doing? What's going on, y'all? Ready for the playoffs? I see you, bro. See it, man. I see it. Yeah, man, absolutely. Al Kabir said he's seconding that motion of, are you ready for the playoffs? It was a dime. You're right, man. I mean, he threw an absolute dime out there. I was really pleased at some of the throws he's putting on film, guys. I mean, there's a few throws that he's putting out there on film that make a ton of sense to me. It makes you think like, okay, like the front office is, their scouts and stuff are seeing this stuff. So there's a balancing act going here in the evaluation, clearly. What's up, Show Enough 215? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, you got it, Show Enough. That's what I'm saying. 100%, man. He said, right, there was potential to do to the Giants what Dallas did to Washington. Sloppy first half. I agree. I should have got my 40 burger. Show enough. I said in the pregame, I called out 40-9. I said this game would not be close. And if you remember, I said, don't get excited. I'm telling you, Gardner Minshew is going to play, but it's not for the reason people are thinking. I think we're going to be up that far ahead in the game. It's going to be Minshew time. We were up that far ahead of the game. It became Minshew time. Adonis Ritten said, could have easily put up 40 plus. Yeah, man. I really wanted the 40 burger. I wanted that 40 burger so bad for the confidence of the team, because the way we started the first half, I was concerned too. I was just as concerned as everybody else watching. Like when I watched the game, guys, the coaching hat off. Like when I'm watching the game, I'm a fan. I'm not watching it as a coach. I'm watching it as a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. Like my wife saw me and she's over there screaming, telling me to stop scratching because I'm trying to pull my hair out because I'm so frustrated by what I'm seeing on film. Like, yeah, guys. I mean, it concerned me, and I do feel that way. That like sometimes, like I think that we take our foot off the accelerator on teams when I don't think that's the right decision. I'm not saying that you completely embarrass a team when it's a division rival. Man, run the points up on them. In my opinion, run the points up on a division rival. What's up, man? How you doing, Jalen? I'm hanging in there, bro. Hanging in there, man. How'd you feel about the game, Jalen? I mean, what were your thoughts? I went over early in the stream when I first started the stream, Jalen. I talked about like pretty much like what happened from the rhythm aspect of the game, like how the rhythm of this game was really off. I mean, like we talked about the fumble on the opening drive, the drops by people. I saw a couple of what I thought were off base throws from Jalen. I got to see the film to confirm that, but it's what it looked like. A couple of balls that were ill placed because of his throwing base. But then he threw a couple of dimes out there, especially on that. I think it was the fifth possession. He just absolutely threw 2 dimes out there that were great throws. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. It was the tale of 2 halves. That's for certainly for sure. Which said Dallas Cowboys defense isn't going to be able to handle our running game for 4 quarters. We're not the same team they played in week 4. Yeah, I think it was it 4 or 3? But yeah, early in the season. I agree. We're not the same team. But you're leading on to something. Let me come back to this one. Marianne. Let me come back because I do think that there's an element to this I want to discuss about our running game that there's something here. I want to come back to it, though. I want to get to everyone's questions real quick, and then we'll come back to this one because I think you're leading into something. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing, man? How was your holidays, Jonathan? Or holidays so far? We haven't got to the second one yet. Jalen said, "Does it trouble you that we haven't beaten a winning or playoff caliber team?" I would say Denver's a playoff caliber team, but we didn't get their best shot. You know what I mean? Like we didn't get their best shot when we played them. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I don't know how good I don't know how good we are. I'll say that from the jump, Jalen. I don't know how good we are, but I think if we stick to the running game, and there's a bigger point in the second half of the show I want to get to about the running game, but if we stick to the running game and all the elements of the running game are there, I think we have an opportunity to be way more competitive than people think against better competition. Concerned defensively, I don't know how Gannon's going to play certain quarterbacks. I mean, I think that's still up in the air. He didn't respect this kid a lot in the first quarter, and he shouldn't have respected Jake from State Farm. There's no reason to respect, Jake from State Farm. But you know what I mean? It is what it is. He said, I'm not as impressed. Okay, so Jalen said, I'm not as impressed as others because if the Giants had any offense, we have a different game, but I love the score. Yeah, there's certainly an element of that's true. I don't think that Danny Dimes, I think that they might have been able to put up 10, 13 points on us. We might have been down 10-3, 13-3, or whatever at the half. I still think we would have beat them even with Danny Dimes in. I also think the defense might have been a little different against Daniel Jones. I'll tell you Jake from State Farm missed some throws. I saw even on the TV copy. There were a couple of times he could have converted had he thrown a better pass. It's on the film. I saw it too, Jalen. Like he definitely overthrew. The one that really it stands out on my head right now, in my mind, as I'm kind of envisioning what happened in this football game. There was a pass it was on a third down, and it was Kadarius Toney, and he sailed it. Toney was open. He beat the zone. It was open. He just sailed the football. But it is what it is. Jalen said Denver is 7-8. Yeah, I'm not saying they beat up. I'm not saying that they're a winning team. I'm saying they were in the mix for the playoffs. So they were, a playoff caliber at one point. But we didn't, like I said, we didn't really necessarily get their best shot defensively because they had some pieces kind of missing that were important to their defense. But I honestly, even if they had those pieces, Jalen, I still think they wouldn't have been able to beat us just because I think we were just a more physical football team than they were. And I don't think the players they were missing were going to change that. I don't think that they could have got down in the trenches and fought with us to have won that style of football game. So I feel secure that even though Denver, is probably not as quality a win today as it was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, it's still, in my opinion, still probably outside of New Orleans and Denver are probably our best wins, I would say, in the stretch of games. Carolina for a while looked like it was okay. Now it's not a good win at all. So, time changes perspective on things. But at the time, they were contending, they were competing, and they really just kind of fell that contention and compete, and competition recently. So the gambling hippie, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? He said, did Jalen throw Smith short on his deep ball? Looked like if Jalen could have got it a little further out there, might have been a touchdown. So there's two ways of looking at that, the gambling hippie. I mean, truth be told, I don't know until I see the all 22. I need to see the coach's film before I can say anything definitively because I'm watching a TV copy. I can't exactly see the coverage. So, I mean, I can only make certain determinations about the coverage without seeing the actual coach's film. But two ways of looking at it. One way of looking at it is that if you got a little bit more, if it wasn't a little bit of an elongated delivery, potentially could have pushed the ball down the field more. The other way to looking at it is to say that the cornerback was in phase with the receiver. So the throw to make there is to hang high and throw it short and give Devontae a chance to go up and get it. So, I mean, there's different ways of looking at that one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know which one is necessarily correct without seeing the all 22 on it and really judging the technique that's being played and the ball location and just seeing it from different angles. It's difficult to tell from a TV copy. TV copies are never the greatest. They're more for entertainment value than they are for educational value. So, it's really hard to judge those, to be quite honest. Jonathan Holly said, think we started a new tradition yesterday with the lane leap. Man, Nick's getting creative with the play calls, isn't he? I mean, from putting Darius Slay in the week prior to the Lane Johnson, it's Jordan Mailata time, guys. Some of you guys have been calling for the longest time y'all want Mailata on the goal line to run the football. I think he's going to do it. I absolutely think he's going to do it. Enrique Salvador, I don't understand what this means, my guy. I seen you typed it a few times in the last few live streams I've done. I don't know what it means, man. I mean, are you talking about Virginia Tech? I don't understand, man. You have to clarify what you mean by that. But yeah, man, Jonathan, they're getting creative, man, and I think the Mailata play is coming. I definitely think it is, man. it feels like that Mulata play is going to happen. I'm not saying that it's necessarily the greatest play in the world to run, and I think the circumstances of the game are going to dictate you getting funny with plays. When you're up big, you can do stuff like that. But I definitely think it might be coming, man. Jalen said, the reason I say that is because if the Giants have 13 points at half and now we are pressing and Hurts has to throw into those tight windows with the D, it would have been a real test versus the joke. Well, I mean, that's kind of the situation we were in Washington, though. You know what I mean? Like, and I thought that the coaching staff hung tough to still stick with the running game and just kind of keep wearing them down, Jalen. I do think that was kind of the situation we found ourselves in versus Washington the week before, where it was kind of like, what is happening here? Why is this even a game where we're trading scores with a team like Washington? And then we finally, snatch control of things. I mean, yeah, I get that these letdowns against better competition could result in completely different results. I agree. But I mean, I guess the other side to that, Jalen, would be to say, is this a matter where we have a tendency to play down the competition and play up the competition in the same breath? I mean, you know what I mean? Marianne said, I noticed on that deep connection to Quez, Hurts didn't step into that throw. He threw that flat-footed. Hard to say, man, from a TV copy. I need to see the end zone angle, and I need to be able to zoom in on the feet to determine that, because TV angles are notoriously they give you a really bad impression of what's happening. Jonathan said, what did you think of the wide receiver production? I thought the game plan was clearly more wide receiver centric than running back and tight end. I thought Rager had an okay game. Nothing to write home about, but production. He dropped the tunnel screen, made up for it on the next one, had a really good sideline catch there. I thought Devontae had a really good game. I thought Devontae showed up a little bit. That sideline touchdown catch he made was a really good catch. He skied up over Bradbury and brought the ball down on that play that we've been talking back and forth about. They were okay. Quez kind of got involved a little bit later in the game, and I thought Quez was okay. I'm not going to say it's a dominant performance, Jonathan. You know what I mean? Like, if you start getting one guy over 100 and all three guys over 50 yards receiving, then I think you got something to definitively, like, that's what we should be diving into film, and we should be talking about the production from that position group. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen that type of production yet, so it's kind of hard to say. But that's what I'm looking for, Jonathan. Is like, can you get one guy over 100 and do you have all three guys over 50? Kind of like the running backs, right? When you start getting those kind of numbers, then it's time to look at your receivers and reshape the conversation. Dale said, I'm not saying we couldn't have won, but that is a different threat level. Yeah, of course it is. 100%, bud. What's up, Byshine 101? How you doing, buddy? What's up, Gate? I feel Siri called a bad first half. Yeah, I think the flow of the game got away from him. Not enough run plays with Hurts under the center. 5 called run plays in first half total. The only thing I would counter to that, though, Eyeshine, is did you see when they did the zone read on the goal line? There was one play. Let me find it. I got it in my notes, man. They did a zone read on the goal line, and he didn't look good to me, man. I can't find it. I can't find it in my notes right in a second, guys. Hang on, let me see on the back page here. Yeah, zone read. So it was on the 6th possession of the game. They zone read. They went with the zone read. I think this is when we put up the field goal. They did a zone read with Hurts down there in the red zone, and he just didn't look explosive to me, man. I still think that ankle might be a little ginger. I don't think he's got that lateral movement ability, so that might be why they're. But I get what you're saying. You can design some quarterback draw stuff, some stuff where you just keep the defense a little honest. I think they might be just trying to limit the amount of hits he's taking right now. I think that they know that type of injury takes time to heal, and it's not ideal with a guy that's not 100% when you have 2 games in that time frame. When you're playing 2 games in the time frame we played them in, it doesn't vote well when you're dealing with that kind. You know what I mean? So that might be part of what's going on here with that. Joshua said we should draft a running back. Can't pay Miles if he's always hurt. This is the first time I think though that we've seen, and you're right, Joshua. I mean, he's got, what does he have now? Like, it's a foot? He's got a foot. He's got, was it a hamstring or a quad? No, it's a foot, a quad, and now he may have fractured the hand. We don't know yet. Still waiting on that. But He's explosive when he's in the games, man. It's a big decision to make, and I think to me, Joshua, it depends on the value, right? Like if you're going to pay him top 10 running back money, then I think that's a legitimate conversation you're bringing up, Joshua, which is the guy's talented, but you're going to pay a guy top 20, top 10, sorry, top 10, running back money. You probably want him available for at least 95% of your games. Maybe a game missed here and there. I mean, it's going to happen with running backs, but we'll see, man. It's been a little nagging injuries with him. Natiro said, I wish we kept that Lane play call for the playoffs. Laugh out loud. Hey, it brought life back in, man. The guys were real happy for Lane. It was good, man. Jalen Hurts, talking about Lane Johnson. The team's tight. You can just tell, man. We don't have – look at Washington and what's going on with Washington right now. And I don't mean to add insult to misery with Washington, but that crap ain't happening in Philly. It's just not, man. We're not at each other's throats like that. Like, that's a bad situation for them, guys. And you can tell our team's pretty tight. Just that, if you haven't had a chance to watch Jalen Hurts' press conference, you should, because there's two really big points there. I'm not going to discuss it in this live stream, guys. I'm going to save that for either tomorrow or Wednesday's show. I'm going to break down what Jalen Hurts was talking about at the end of his press conference about cover 7. He made a really big point, and I do want to cover that. He still missed the read. Make no mistake about it. He missed it. But he's explaining why he missed the read. And I think he did a really beautiful job of talking it through and why those type of things happen down there. So, I mean, if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to his press conference, sometime today, guys, I would listen to Jalen Hurts' press conference from yesterday. He said no, because besides the Chargers, we haven't played up to competition this season, and that was more of them playing down to us. Well, doesn't that kind of go both ways, though, Jalen? Like, we're playing up, they're playing down, kind of. Because I would say the Saints, even though their quarterback situation was nothing to really be scared about, I would say the Saints probably are a better roster from top to bottom. Dank Burrito said, Devontae is on his way to 1K. What's he, like 100 and some yards away, right? 179. Yeah, he said he's 179 yards away. So possible. I'm not going to say that's a guarantee, but it's possible. It's possible that the young man gets there. Dank said, if Jalen holds the ball for a second more and sees Goddard, it's a different game. I think a lot of this is the execution. To an extent, yes, but it also has to do with what he's being instructed to do. What the reads are supposed to be, and he'll get there. Like, Dank, you got to give guys time. Like, if that's Aaron Rodgers, if that's a guy like that's been in the league a long time, they make those reads. But it takes time to get there. Like, those guys weren't doing it from their very first season. It does take some time to grow into that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there are quarterbacks that have the experience across the league that, with the play calls we're getting, probably reshape the score here even more. But at the end of the day, man, I think we're doing a good job. We got a young kid on a rookie contract. Jalen's a really young quarterback, and that's a good place to be right now. We'll see. I mean, he puts us in the playoffs and wins a playoff game, I think the conversation is going to drastically change. Natira, so Hurts can make some good throws when he's in rhythm, but his processing and vision might be one of the worst in the league. Every game he misses at least 2 wide open touchdowns. So that's kind of a loaded statement, Natira. And there's elements of what you're saying I agree with. His processing and I wouldn't say vision. It's his pre-snap processing and then his post-snap read of getting from the second to the third read is an issue. And it has to do with being a young quarterback. You want a perfect illustration of this point? Look at what they did to get Jake from State Farm into a rhythm. They started going to tunnel screens. They start doing those things to try to get that young man into a rhythm right around their like third or fourth possession of the game. If you watch, it didn't work because he just doesn't have the talent. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts is a far more talented quarterback from Jake that State Farm is. But with that said, like you could see what the Giants tried to do to establish a rhythm with that young man. There's some growth that has to happen there. There's no doubt about it, right? Baker has never reached it. And I think that's the problem the Browns are having with Baker, right? Is that Baker needs a particular offensive style built around him. And Baker doesn't have the athletic gifts. He's very athletic. He's a good player. I'm not saying that, but he's not to the same level of athlete as a Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. But all three of those guys have different levels of where they're at in terms of growth from traditional quarterback play from the pocket. With that said, like he's getting a lot of coaching, man. And I think he's getting A+ coaching, to be quite honest, guys. I think the young man's getting A+ coaching. I love the fact that he's meeting with Jeff Stoutland to discuss the running game. I love that he's meeting with the head coach on Friday. I love that he's got a personal relationship with Brian Johnson. Like those factors are big, man. Those are big factors. The kid being amenable to coaching is why he's getting an opportunity. If he wasn't amenable to coaching, this wouldn't work. But he's a coach's son. He can be coached hard, and he's amenable to coaching, and that's a good thing. Those are all good, positive things. That pass to Rager outside the numbers to the left was the best throw of the day for Hurts. I agree, Marion. That was a dime, man. He threw a dime out there. The ball, if that ball location isn't right, that's a bad pass. But man, that ball location was on point. It was perfectly thrown. I think the only other play that impressed me to that level, Marion, is if you go back to the Arizona game from 2020, he hit a far hash timing out route. So this is a far hash timing play to Dallas Goedert in that Arizona game. That was a dime to him. And that's when you can tell the arm strength of a player. That's what told me right away that young man has a better arm than people think. Now, where he fails in the deep ball aspect is mechanical. It's with his actual delivery of the football. And there are some things you can do to fix it up, which you probably will never completely fix an elongated delivery, but you can tighten it up a little bit. There are some things you can get the young man, like trying to teach him to pay attention to that elbow, make sure the elbow is not dipping as you go back. Things like that can be shored up a little bit, but he's always going to have a little bit of a wind up to his delivery. So, by the way, so did Carson Wentz, if I'm being honest with you. Carson did too. It just wasn't quite as bad. Show Enough said, Gate City, what's your honest opinion about Hurts' future development? In my opinion, I think Hurts can become a little better as a passer, but I think it's more about instinct in the pocket. I think your hunch is correct. I mean, you're looking at incremental improvements, right? I mean, if Hurts has a 15-year career, the guy he's going to be around year 10 to 12 is going to be heck of a lot more nuanced as a passer than the guy you're going to see the next 2 or 3 years. It's a matter of, can those special abilities he has last long enough to get him to process and become better. He's got some issues with his throwing mechanics. That can get ironed out in the offseason. You keep doing that over time, you perfect your craft, you get better, right? I mean, think about it. We love Tom Brady. We call Tom Brady the GOAT at the quarterback position. Tom Brady wasn't that great to begin with. Like, they ran the ball, and they had success despite Tom Brady. Tom Brady perfected his craft, right? Now, I'm not saying that Tom doesn't have a little bit more natural ability from the pocket than Jalen, of course, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was what he's become from year one. Like, people forget that guys got to perfect their craft. I'll tell you another guy that I think is he's underrated for what he is. And I'm not saying that he's necessarily like a top 5, top 6 quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's in the discussion for being a top 12 guy in terms of a potential franchise guy in the league. It's Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is widely underrated by the Vegas team, by the Raiders. I think he's so much better than their fan base thinks. But, you know, some fan bases like our own, they don't have patience, man. You know how it is. How many explosive backs are in the draft every year? 49ers have 80 running backs, and they can all get 100 yards. I guess it depends on what you mean by explosive. So, I mean, if the lanes are big enough to run through, any back could potentially be explosive, right? I mean, yeah, I think it's more so about vision. It's about making the right decision when you cut back, especially if you're a one-cut runner. That means that you have to make a very defined decision in the moment of which hole you're going through, which gap, you know, is being blocked for you and where you're going. And that's really where I think Miles has to develop just a little bit more. I think he's certainly more of a one-cut runner than people realize. I think the thing is like, oh, he dances too much. And there's two ways of looking at it, right? Like, Dank, like, yes, he's right that he dances too much in terms of like, okay, he's waiting for it and he's like stalling to pick which hole. but he's not necessarily a lateral runner as much as people think. He's not dancing and trying to get lateral. He's dancing because he's struggling to process and see which hole he's supposed to take, and sometimes he makes a bad decision on that. And there was a couple examples early in the season, but when the young man makes that definitive decision, he's got the athletic ability to be a nightmare on the second level. And that's, that's kind of the give and take when you deal with a young man like that. You know what I mean? They said Miles broke his hand. I heard it this morning on the radio. I heard he might have had a fracture in his hand. I don't know the results yet though. Chargers aren't that much better. They just had the ball last. Yeah, I don't think that's what Jalen was saying. He's saying he thought that was the best adequate competition we were in the game with. I agree that had we had the ball last, results may have been different. But the defense didn't give us the ball back. I know it sounds like I'm hating, but I'm not trying to be the little engine that could. But every week we kill ants with sledgehammers. Yeah, but I mean, you get how it goes, Jalen. You play the competition that's in front of you. Like they shaped the schedule this way. A lot of us told people that we were probably going to win a lot down the stretch because competition isn't that great. You know, we could have met a different challenge in Denver. We could have met a different challenge in New Orleans, but you play who they put in front of you. We were supposed to be a really bad football team. Maybe we still are not maybe we still have a lot of, areas that need to be filled, areas that need to be added talent to, needs to be added to those rooms. But, you play who's in front of you and we're clearly better than the teams we're playing in front of us right now. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations. I don't know how good we are. We won't know that until we finish the season and we have a letdown, or if we win and we get into the playoffs. And then you have to play the better competition. You win a game against one of those guys, you're probably a lot better than people think. You know what I mean? It's like one of those situations, I think. Hi, Sean. I appreciate you, buddy. Said, hit that like button. Freestyle. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? He said, what's going on, Gate? I believe it was a great win, even though it's the Giants. Yeah. I mean, look, they embarrassed us a few weeks ago. Payback hurts, doesn't it, Giant fans? Now, I'm just joking, man. I got a lot of guys that are Giant fans that are part of this community. I'll be fair. A lot of our Giant fans, you guys know Asia Roberts. You guys know all the people that come in here that are Giant fans. I mean, Cruisin', he's a Giants fan. They weren't very positive about their prospects the first game. They thought we were going to crush them. So I mean, they've for the most part, the people who talk with us have been humble, but the people who don't normally talk with us that came in the chat, boy, they were talking they were talking it up during the pregame. What's up? Jalen doesn't telegraph throws like Carson did, though. Dang, that's not true. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. First off, you have to define what you mean by telegraph a throw, right? But if you're talking about staring down reads, yeah, he does. Yeah, he's still developing there. He absolutely does, Dank. I got to disagree with you. Great example being that Rager interception he threw, to where not only did he stare it down and not pull the safety off, but he didn't read coverage very well because you got a 7-8 yard window on a go route. It's just not a throw you make. You got to come off that. So I have to disagree with you on that one, Dank. Gate, I think processing is not something you learn easily. It's something you either have or are born with. It's like athleticism. It's wired into your body / brain chemistry. Joe Banner also said this. Yeah, but Joe Banner's not a football player. It's hero. To be fair, Joe Banner doesn't know what he's talking about here. I got to disagree with that perspective. Guys get better at processing. Anything you do with repetition becomes better. Processing has a lot to do with experience, right? The more experienced you are at reading coverage, the better you're going to be at it. And it's just the way it works. You know what I mean? A guy that's in his 10th year in the league is going to be a better processor than any guy in the first year in the league. So, I mean, there's both sides of this, right? There is a natural ability in terms of the way guys' brains work and the way they see things. So if there's disguise, some guys might be better at picking that up faster. They might be quicker at doing that. But I do disagree with the aspect that you can't get better at that and significantly better over time. I mean, literally, like guys like me do that with quarterbacks. We work with guys to do that. Like you can get better. Dank said Derek Carr can throw some darts. I like him, Dank. I don't get why the rest of the NFL doesn't like Derek Carr. I mean, I think he's a better player than he's given credit for. I mean, is he in those top 5 or 6 guys? No, but I definitely think he's in that next class of guys. Like, I think you can win with a Derek Carr if you build a good enough team around him. Ben Adams, what's up, man? I just noticed you got all the Michigan stuff in your in the icon. He said, I saw what Brady was going to be at Michigan. Dude was making comebacks since the 90s. Yeah, and that was kind of weird how Michigan kind of treated him too, Ben. I mean, I was obviously I was watching football back when he was playing college ball, but I wasn't necessarily like, I didn't know much about Michigan football at that time. I was a little younger when Brady was playing, but I do remember that there was a lot of quarterback competition around him and a lot of controversy, and it was never like he was really that bad. He just, I guess they were expecting more from him than they got, but he was never really bad in college. Dank said, I find Miles more expendable than most, especially with the injuries. I mean, look, I don't know how the front office views him, Dank. I mean, that's the thing is like I can't say how how important the coaching staff sees his production to their offense. I can't see how the front office values his, gives the evaluation. To me, it's always a matter of what's the cost. You know what I mean? Like Miles is plenty talented enough to keep around. It's a matter of the cost evaluation, right? I mean, how much money is he going to want? I have no clue. We can look at contract values and like we'll get into all that, guys. I'll definitely do some contract values. I'm waiting for the season to be over to really dive into those type of topics. But once the season ends, guys, I'll dive into those type of topics and I'll lay out what I think him and his agent are going to ask for based upon the contracts of other guys and where his production is. What I think is crazy is it's almost been 2 seasons since there was a repeat NFC East champ. Happens, man. Happens. You're right. NFC East, it's up and down, man, guys. Teams rise and fall quickly. Most of the Cowboys came from teams under 500. Most of the Cowboys wins. You beat who's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? You got to beat the competition they put in front of you. Dennis Baker, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Hey, Steve, people are overanalyzing with Hurts' quarterback skills. We can do a whole lot worse. Jim Plunkett got pooed out of 2 cities and went to the Raiders and won 2 Super Bowls. Don't remind us of Jim Plunkett. Dennis, it might have been before my time, but, one of those Super Bowls, I'm pretty sure it was against us. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, people don't have the patience to give guys time to develop. I'm not saying that Jalen will ever be a top 12 quarterback. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm saying that there's enough there that with the right progression from him, he can get there. I see enough to think that it's reasonable to say that in time, you can get a guy like Jalen Hurts to become a top 12 quarterback in the league. Sometimes guys never reach their potential, guys. I mean, like that's the thing is like everyone says, I'm like, oh, you were wrong. You said he was going to be a top 12 quarterback. No, I'm saying he has the talent that if it's developed and he's amenable to coaching, it seems reasonable to think he could be in that category. He could be in that conversation of guys over time. Yeah, Mariana said, yeah, Hurts' biggest problem is staring out. Yeah, he's not a 3-read quarterback yet. He's developing into that. He's trying to. It takes time. You know what I mean? Like we just saw a guy, Jake from State Farm, and the guy was horrible. And I believe he's from the same draft class as Jalen. So, I mean, he's from the same draft class. He played in the same conference, the SEC. He was on a competitive team. Well, yeah, I guess you could say, well, Jalen was technically in the big, but Jalen played in the SEC as well. I mean, the guy he's not good. Jake Fromm is not good at all. Taekwon TV, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? He said, what's your overall view of the team and who are expendable on this football team? Brandon Brooks is the big name I'd watch out for. So the easiest way to answer this question, guys, is to go into SpoTrack or into Over the Cap and look at your 10 highest paid contracts for 2022. See what the dead money is on it. See what the cap casualty aspect of things would be. And then from there, you can kind of get an idea of who's in trouble. My opinion, the biggest name that is in real trouble here is Brandon Brooks. He hasn't been on the field. He hasn't been playing. He's got a massive contract. The Eagles could gain massive savings by parting with him. I like the guy. This is not me throwing shots at Brandon Brooks. He's one of my favorite Eagles since he's been here. But, other guys are coming up, man. Nate Herbig's been respectable. He's not better than Brandon Brooks. That's not what I'm saying at all, but he's respectable. And then I think, Driscoll, I'm concerned about Driscoll's injuries. He keeps getting injured, but the quality of play is good. But that's the thing. You look at Brandon Brooks. Brandon Brooks is a great player. He's been injured, so I don't know. Maybe go with the cheaper guy in Driscoll right now. I think with Jalen's throwing motion, to me, it seems like no, man, no, Dank, you're wrong. You're wrong, man. I like Jalen. I like what Jalen's become. Jalen has a far more elongated delivery than Carson. Jalen said, vehemently disagree with the process thing. Processing comes with familiarity. Thank you, Jalen. That's what I'm saying, right? It comes with more and more experience seeing things. Similar to drive as a kid to now. That's why people always say it takes time to adjust to the speed of the game. Exactly. Yeah, I agree 100% what you're saying, Jalen. Like, simply put, the more experience, the more time you spend seeing coverage, the more time you get adjusted to how skilled the players are on the football field, tendencies of teams. I'll put it this way: like in a different sport. Let's talk about a different sport, right? In baseball, the first time you see a pitcher, you might not have great success against him because you don't know what his stuff's going to be. But the more time, especially if you're talking about division foes, you see a guy, you start to learn tendencies of a guy. You normally start having a little bit better success rate against him, unless a guy just doesn't have the talent level. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's kind of a similar situation. Like, you're flipping the aspects here, but it's similar to where Jalen might struggle early on with certain aspects of processing because he just doesn't know enough yet. But as he gains more familiarity over coverage, he's going to get better. Now, is he going to be as good as other people? Yeah, I don't know. Hard to say, right? Hard to say that right now. Natiro, so can someone with very bad processing become good? Depends on the learning curve, right? Depends on the learning curve. Depends on the guy. I mean, some people do. I mean, look, the greatest example I can give you off the top of my head of a guy that was a really bad processor early on in his career and won a Super Bowl is Steve Young. Steve Young was horrible in Tampa Bay. Horrible early career, even with the 49ers. And then he got better. The game slowed down for him. It happens. Hey, Gate City, good question. Would you take Cousins or Carr? I'll take Carr. Ben Adams, I'll take Carr 10 out of 10 times. And I think that Kirk Cousins is underrated. I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than people think. Really strong arm. I think Derek Carr has higher. I think Derek Carr is just a little better of a player overall. I'm not going to say ceiling because these two guys have been in the league long enough to not talk ceilings. You know what I mean? But I think Derek Carr is just a slightly better player. Jalen talks about, Peyton Manning's first year, he threw 28 picks. He wasn't processing very well at all. And then he became Peyton Manning. Oof. So I hope Kelsey doesn't retire yet. He can easily play at this level until 40, barring injury. I don't know if he can make it to 40, Natiro, but I hope he doesn't retire either. I think he's still a very good football player. So Jalen said, Natiro, if you ever hear someone say when a young quarterback is struggling, keep them, it's because it's all about settling in and getting familiar. That's why quarterbacks who have seen everything can win almost any game. Yeah, exactly, Jalen. Like, it's a balancing act, right? Like, there is a period, Natiro, to where you've had a guy for so long, a guy is what he is, right? Like, he's just not, he could make improvements. That's true, but he's not going to make drastic improvements past a certain point. I think by the third to fourth year of a guy, you have the base of what makes this guy who he is, right? Then you're talking about subtle improvements to the guy's game, right? That those subtle improvements over time, like if you got a guy like Brady who's playing 20 years, subtle improvements are drastically big steps and drastically big differences. But you know what I mean? By the time you're in your third or fourth year, you kind of know what somebody is. Dang said, we made the same mistake with JP holding on to Brooks too long. I think they're going to separate. I think they're going to separate from him. Philly 5000, what's good, buddy? He said, Gate City, what's good, my man? How much time do we want to give Jalen when Reed hurts? I think they'll give him 2022. Here's the thing. Honestly, Philly 5,000, I don't work for the front office. I have no clue what, here's the thing. You can have scouts that differ on them. The coaches could be in a different lane than what the front office is like. So, you know what I mean? Without being privy to those conversations, I don't know, to be honest. My gut feeling is unless they love one of these quarterback prospects in 2022, and I don't know if they do or don't. Well, we'll find that out in a few months. They're probably going to stick with Jalen and at least give him 2022 to see how much he progresses, how much further we see the progression as the player. I mean, I think that if I'm the front office, I feel pretty good about Jalen Hurts and Garner Minshew being mid-tier kind of quarterbacks that can keep you respectable, even if they have deficiencies in their game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like those two guys are good enough to stick with in 2022. Like, we're in a far better quarterback situation than other organizations are. There are other organizations that would kill to have one of those two guys. Washington football team, the New York Giants. Maybe the fan bases disagree. I guarantee you the front office don't. Mary said, what if Stoutland likes a guy with one of them first rounders that fell to us? Do you think we draft him? If it's a center or a guard, potentially. Yeah, I mean, Mariana, look, if you can't get the right defensive piece, okay, I think you should go defense and get a playmaker if you can get one in the draft. But if you cannot find the right defensive piece, I'm all in favor of you can never have too many good offensive linemen. Get another lineman. I'm all in favor of this team. We've drafted wide receiver in the second round and first round in like 3 or 4 consecutive drafts. I get it. But the bottom line is we still don't have all the pieces in the receiving room. If you got a guy you think can make a difference and win against man coverage and can separate, go get him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the situation. You should be focused defense first. But if those guys get picked and you don't think there's an impact player there, you're in a decision. You either trade back and acquire more picks and then take a shot on guys that you think would be valued better in certain areas, or you take the best player available. And if that guy is a guard or a center or wide receiver, or if it's a linebacker, maybe it's a position you normally wouldn't value where you're at. I think you take the shot personally. I would take the shot. You know what I mean? I would sign that guy. Gates, did you just compare Hurts to Steve Young? No, not at all. That's not what I'm saying. Someone asked me about processing and if guys get better at processing. And I said a really good example of a guy that was a poor processor who became a really good processor is Steve Young. And then Jalen talked about, look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was really bad his rookie year and became a really, really good processor, kind of the golden boy of processing coverage. What's up, NFC East Beast? How you doing, buddy? I'm losing faith in Hurts' pre-read and pocket vision ability. He's been a quarterback since he was 6. How much longer should this take? Yeah, but come on, NFC Beast. Playing in the NFL is a lot different from any other level of football. Doesn't matter. I've played quarterback for a long time too. I couldn't read and process that stuff at the NFL level. It's not like, Like, it doesn't matter how long you've played it. It's not like these guys, like, it's not like a guy like Jalen Hurts doesn't go to the film and doesn't understand where he made mistakes. He's got good coaches around him. He himself has been playing the position a long time. He understands coverage. So it's not like he doesn't see the film. It's got to do with, like, the best way I can explain this NFC East Beast is, when you're in the service, you run a ton of drills, right? You're repetitively running these drills. And that's so that way you're not even thinking anymore. You're just doing. It becomes repetitive, right? You know exactly what you're supposed to do given the circumstance and the situation. It's familiarity. It's comfort. That's where pre-snap and all that, that's where that stuff comes from. The more times you have to run it, the more examples you can get of it. And is a guy making some growth? Like, obviously, if a guy's just not getting it, that's one thing. But I don't think we're at that point with Hurts. I do think that there are times he makes frustrating plays and decisions where he's forcing the football, no doubt. But I also see the subtle improvements as well. So it's a balancing act here with that type of thing. Gate City, did you approve of the Hurts pick initially, and how do you feel about it now? I don't know what you mean. Do I agree with the call? Like, did they make the right call and say it was incomplete? What do you mean by that 5,000? in my opinion, it was ruled correctly. Clearly he didn't have possession of the football going out to the ground. But I talked about it earlier in the game when I talked about the rhythm of the offense and how, it's not one guy. Like coaching was the play calling and the game plan, the game management aspect of things, I thought was really bad. I thought Jalen made a couple of really bad decisions, mixed in with a couple of really good throws early in the game. I thought guys dropped footballs. I thought we had boneheaded penalties. I thought several aspects caused us to have a really bad slow start to where our first 5 possessions of the football game were ugly. The fifth possession got a little better. We moved the football. Hurts made a couple of really good throws, but we missed the field goal to end that one. So I think it's kind of complex. But no, I mean, I said that he pushed he was pushing things. Like he was feeling it and trying to, he was trying to play. He made a bad throw. Get around to it. He made a bad throw on that play. Jalen Williams' experience makes you better, but some guys never learn it or barely improve on their weaknesses. Wentz was still staring guys down in his 4th year. There's a lot of things going on though, Natiro, because that's not really a fair claim to make. Yes, but circumstances matter, man. You had a 2nd-year wide receiver and 3 rookie wide receivers, a guy that came off another team's practice squad playing wide receiver for you. Your 2 veteran guys who you can trust to be in the spot they're supposed to be with the football. They weren't on the field very much for you. And Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. That stuff matters, man. That stuff matters. And I don't think while Carson did stare things down at times and he made mistakes and he made bad errors in the judgment of where to throw the football. I mean, the really, really, the good example I can make here is that the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside interception he threw versus the Rams in 2020. The decision is complex, right? There is a period of time where if the ball location is better, that's a touchdown. The ball location was off, which caused the cornerback to be able to get around the receiver and take the ball away from it. But the reason that happened had nothing to do with Carson Wentz staring down the receiver. It had to do with his platform, the way he threw the football. Carson Wentz has always been a bit of a long strider because he's a really tall guy. He got long in his stride, which caused the ball to the placement of the ball to be off. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside did not run the greatest route to defend that. You got an interception. It's a good illustration of the player you're throwing the football to, the quarterback himself, mixed in with this, right? So, I mean, none of these things are that simple, Natiro. There's a lot behind these things. Unspoken Word says, his explanation was encouraging to me. That tells me he knows his situation. Exactly. He's a smart guy. He's a smart football guy. Like, I thought that, look, he shouldn't have missed the read. And I think that if you got him one-on-one, he'd admit, like, yeah, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have missed that read. But he's explaining to you why the read was missed. Like, hey, this is the coverage they're running on me. And this is the way that this is supposed to happen. But somebody messed up the coverage. So basically what he's saying, guys, is that they were playing cover 7, and to the weak side of the offensive formation, they were running cone and not Meg. He was probably expecting, because they're on the red zone, that on that side of the field, the weak side of the field, in a cover 7, they were going to run Meg, which is man. But they ran cone, which is what he's talking about with the corner and the safety having inside-outside leverage on the player, and they completely let Goddard slip through. It was a blown coverage assignment. He couldn't tell pre-snap that that's going to happen. He's expecting in the red zone, you're going to have Meg. This is the way that the read should work. And then they messed up the coverage, blew the coverage. He missed the read because he wasn't anticipating that happening. Gate, is there a quarterback you have a secret crush from this draft class? Everyone says it's a weak quarterback class, but these predictions always get proven wrong. No, I don't particularly love any of these quarterbacks. I think Carson Strong has some elements to his game that can make him intriguing, especially if he's a guy you can get late first round, even second round, even later. Some models have him going in the third round. If I get a Carson Strong type guy in the third round, he intrigues me. I don't know his level of competition in Nevada. I don't think he throws a particularly great deep ball, even though he's a big guy with a big arm. I don't think that deep ball is always very good. I think the mechanics behind his deep ball is a little off. But he has the elements of a player that could be potentially really good in the league. Now, I'm not personally. If I was the front office, I'm not taking a risk on a guy like that when I have a guy like Minshew and Hurts in the city. I wouldn't, I wouldn't look to a guy like that because it's very much like a project. It might work out. It might go horribly wrong. You know what I mean? Like you got to consider his level of competition at Nevada. You got to consider the fact that even though he does have a good arm, it doesn't always show up on film, especially on the deep ball, which is where you would expect to see a guy with his, capabilities throwing some pretty things out there on film, but mechanically he's a little flawed. Natiro said, why is everyone giving Hurts a hard time? This technically his rookie season. Yes and no. It's not his rookie season, to be honest, but he's got just as much game experience as a rookie. But that would be like saying like when Aaron Rodgers finally got into games, he was a rookie. That's not really fair because he wasn't. Even though he had just as much game experience as any other rookie after sitting the bench for 3 years, he had time of film study. He had time to see the game up close. He had, you know what I mean? Like there is some differences there. Always draft best player available. I would still be good with drafting Alabama wide receiver Jamison Williams. He's a burner with good route running and very good hands. The way I look at it, Eagles has landed is can you get a guy that can beat man coverage, and can you get a guy that can gain separation? If you can get that type of guy, then I think you draft him, in my opinion. I haven't done enough scouting yet on these guys to say who I think is or is not those guys. I'm going to get there, Eagles has landed. As soon as the offseason starts, I'll be there. Philly 5000 says, Gate City, a lot of mock drafts I was picking a wide receiver in the first. If Howie does draft one, how is that justified? I would say two things here. Number one, like, yeah, it's early in the mock draft season. They're just taking wild stabs in the dark here. At this point, none of these are really that great. But number two is you still need guys that can separate, right? It depends on where your draft position is and what your team needs are, right? Like if the guys you're targeting on defense come off the board, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think at least one of these corners are going to be available. So I do think you're going to be able to get like a Gardner from Cincinnati. One of those guys is going to be available. One of those type prospects should be there where we're picking. Or if not, you can make the argument that, you got 3 first-round picks. It's going to cost you $10 million, to basically pick 3 guys in the first round. You need to package those picks and go get one guy that's an impact player. If you can, but that's the thing is like it's easy to say that, but other teams got to be wanting to move down the board. That's the problem. Natiro said, at the end of the day, Howie's, Lurie's, or this fan base opinion doesn't matter. Most important is what Sirianni's opinion is about Hurts. I agree, but I'm not too sure the front office agrees. Natiro, I think that they have a say in that. But I agree with what you're saying. Good question. Philly 5000 said, Gate City, if we play Dallas in the playoffs, what do we need to do to win that game? So I'm already over where I was going to be. I was going to do an hour, but I'm going to stick around a little longer, guys. So here's what I would say. Philly 5000, you got to run the football, but I want to get into this segment about running the football because Miles Sanders may have broken his hand. Okay, that's a challenge, right? Jordan Howard looks like he suffered a stinger. The last time Jordan Howard suffered a stinger to his shoulder, we remember what happened. Who's in the backfield? Are we down to Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell? I don't know. I don't know who's going to, this can drastically change the approach of games now. I'm hoping that the Jordan Howard thing, no big deal. Jordan Howard's back because if I got Jordan Howard, I got Boston Scott, I got Kenneth Gainwell, we are fine. We will be okay. If we are down to Boston Scott and just Kenneth Gainwell and we got to take a guy off the practice squad and elevate him to be the third back, or we got to go find it and scour the who's out there on other practice teams and bring a guy in, it could get tougher, man. This could get a tougher road to hoe down the stretch here because of that. Me personally, this team is built to run the football. But now you got a quarterback that's got a little bit of an ankle issue. I don't think his lateral movement is that good right now. You got a beat up guy in Sanders with now he's got a quad issue, he's got an ankle issue, and he's got a hand issue. I don't know where that puts, Miles Sanders right now. And on top of that, guys, you got Jordan Howard dealing with the stinger. We don't know how severe the stinger is and how quickly is he going to get back in the game. So a lot to learn this week, right, with the health of the football team. There's a lot to learn from the running back position with the health of the football team. To me, that's the key to us really upsetting some guys in the playoffs, though, is having a solid performance from the defense and really controlling teams with our running game. Because I think that's what makes us the most dynamic. It makes us at our most dynamic point is when we're running the football and basically imposing our will on other teams. That's my whole thing with Hurts. That instinct isn't there as a passer. That learning curve could be a few years. I take the risk as long as we keep a veteran at quarterback and draft another young guy mid-late round. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what their approach is going to be, show enough. I mean, I have no clue how they're going to approach the situation. Eagle has landed to say you have quarterbacks in the league 5 years and have never started a total of 16 games. Are they still rookies too? This narrative of Hurts being a rookie is false and nonsensical. In 2020, he had a full year of it. Yeah, I mean it's complex, right? Because he's not necessarily a rookie, and he's also not exactly experienced. He's in a weird, cumbersome in between land. Philly 5000 said, Gates, I meant, what did you feel about the Hurts draft pick initially, and how do you feel about it now? Oh, I thought it was a bad pick initially. I thought that it had the potential to blow up the way it blew up. I didn't buy what the organization was selling us. They made it seem like Carson Wentz was copacetic with the situation, only to find out that was not the case. Now that we look at it and we look at the way that Carson handled it, they knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? I can't say that I'm against it now because, we'd be in a different situation if Carson went it out. Now, you can argue that these things wouldn't have occurred the way they occurred, but, I'm not here to try to play, some kind of weird time machine game here. Jones said Wentz had issues with talent around him, and it was a true survival situation in terms of team health. Wentz is pretty good at looking off safeties. Yeah, I agree. What up, 2020 Vision? How you doing, buddy? Philly 5000, Gacy, I want your honest opinion on how you feel about Kaepernick. Was he done wrong? I'm not going to pretend to have a really nuanced viewpoint on this. 5000. I'll speak to the element of being judging a quarterback. I still think that he was better than guys that were in the league. Certainly better at the backup position. Certainly probably could have started over other guys that were in the league. In terms of was he done wrong, I don't necessarily know the exact situation and circumstances of negotiations between him and other front offices, or was he completely shut out? If he was completely shut out of football by front offices, then he was done completely wrong. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know those things, guys. I don't have a nuanced, you know what I mean, intel to what happened. Showing us that I like quarterback Tyler Shaw out of Texas Tech. He finds those open windows immediately. Big guy, typical kind of quarterback prospect you think of, 6'4-ish, 6'5-ish, 220-ish. Don't know enough of his film yet, show enough to really weigh in on it, though. Minshew underthrew passes. No one criticizes him because the passes were completed. No, I criticized it, Dennis. I definitely criticized it. Unspoken Word says, what's your opinion on Williams? It looks like he's growing to me. I don't know if he's growing. Hard to say in terms of that aspect of things. I think he's being underutilized, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think that he's a traditional nose. I don't think he's even a traditional 3-tech. I think that if you engage him with a double team, if you're doubling the interior defensive lineman, so if you're zone blocking him, I think he's in trouble because I don't think he can get the base to anchor. Although I think he's fundamentally sound with his hips. I mean, I do think he engages his hips correctly and he's there for the frame. purposes of it, I just don't think he's strong enough to anchor quite yet. I don't know, Jalen or someone like that would be a lot better to ask that question to about how long it takes a guy to improve that kind of strength. Like, is that like something you can do in 18 to 24 months? Can you get stronger at that? Or is that like something you're not going to get from the weight room? I don't know. With that said, he's a very good pass rusher, unspoken words. His initial pass rush move is devastating to guys that are not as athletically gifted. I think he's a really good interior pass rusher, and I think he can be a really good run support person on the outside as a 5 technique. Struggles on the inside with double teams, definitely needs to get better there. If you put him in a 1 gap, though, where he can 1 gap, I think he could be really, really good. He's one of those guys that's a Swiss Army tool. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like Brandon Graham. He's a bigger Brandon Graham. You know what I mean? I know the comparison to him was with Aaron Donald, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I do think that he's got Brandon Graham-like abilities, to where he could play inside, outside. He's just a tough competitor. The guy's got a motor that seems nonstop to me. Sorry, guys, I needed some kind of liquid. December, Nick Foles showing up for the Bears. That's funny, man. Jonathan says he thinks safety should be our first priority. I think safety, linebacker, and we need another corner is definitely. But I will say this. If you can get one of the big defensive linemen, if you can get in position, you might have to trade picks to go get one of those guys. We could use a marquee defensive lineman. Showing up said safety and cornerback should be the first priority. Rager to running back. They might have to use Rager in some ways, not as a traditional running back, but if you're down that many people, using Rager in unique ways, that might have to be what happens. What's your opinion on these hybrid wide receiver running backs, Patterson in Atlanta, Debo in San Fran, and St. Brown in Detroit? I like it. I mean, it's a different era of the game. I think we see some things kind of popping in now. I did a whole thing on this, Dank. If you go back to my Wednesday NFL streams, I did a whole a thing about Patterson, and I talked about the game in the 60s was a lot different from today, and a lot of the wide receiver rushing records that were set happened in the 60s. If you go back and watch that live stream, it was a few weeks ago on a Wednesday. You'll see Patterson is the actual thumbnail. Have the Atlanta Falcons colors on it. It was on a Wednesday. Do you see Rager fitting that role? Potentially. Rager's got to get better with his decisions as a runner. But yes, he's got the athletic ability to do it. The decision making with the ball in his hand sometimes is questionable. Ted said, draft cornerback, linebacker, defense end, safety. If Hurts doesn't work out, you at least have a top 5 defense. Yeah, I would spend my money and my capital right now on defense personally. Would you give up 3 draft picks for Aiden Hutchinson? I would. I think he's talented. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone's going to give you it. I just don't. I don't think they're going to. I think teams want him. I don't know if they're going to come off of him. Maybe somebody will, though. Maybe you can get in position to get a guy like that. What I will say is this. It might behoove us to either trade back some of those for 2023 picks or trade forward for a guy and target a guy instead of trying to sign 3 first-round picks, paying 10 million. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably do something like that. Either target one guy that's a playmaker and go get that guy, or trade back. Pick one of your picks in that top 20 standpoint, but then trade back the rest of your picks. Maybe try to accumulate some picks in 2023 if you can. But I think Jalen Williams is going to chime in here in a second and say, the problem with that theory gate is that every organization knows the 23 draft is probably going to be better than the 22 draft. So you might not have a lot of teams willing to spend capital to come up in 2022 to forsake 2023. That's true. But it is what it is. It depends on what a team wants. If one of these quarterbacks, if a team really wants Kenny Pickett and he's still floating around the mid-20 or, the mid-teens, I won't say 20s, the mid-teens, you might be able to. You might be able to get somebody that's willing to part with a first-round pick in 2023 to move up in 2022. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though, Ted. If you can get a team that wants one of these quarterbacks in that range. I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to make it to 18 personally. I think he's going to be gone before that. But say Willis or one of these other guys are still flirting around and there's a team that really wants them, I would consider trading back, especially if they're willing to give me picks in 2023, which I think is going to be a way better draft class. I think 2022 is a really good draft class for defense, but I think 2023 is going to have a little bit more versatility in terms of the overall draft. That's bad, man. Sanders is going to have an MRI today to see if he can be okay through this hand injury. Not ideal, right? Fractured hand, ouch, Ted said. Good question, Philly 5000. That's a great question. David Ojabo, is he Taco Charlton or is he legit? Taco Charlton, though, in the right system and the right scheme can be productive, not first round value. I get what you're saying, but he could be productive. It's a great question, man. It's a great question. I really like the kid that the Colts drafted last year from Michigan. I thought he would have fit Philly really well. I mean, he gave me some Brandon Graham vibes, and he's been pretty good for them. I like this right here. NFC East B said Mulata, Dickerson, Linderbaum. Oh my, that left side would be crazy, man. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys, it has been an hour and 21 minutes. I'm about to round out. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to ask some questions. I appreciate y'all so much for rocking out with me on this Monday. I will be back tomorrow morning doing this again. I will be doing these Monday through Thursday. For the foreseeable future, I'll be coming on here every morning. And we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on, guys. So I'm going to read a couple more comments, guys, and I'm going to jump off because I promised my wife I was only going to go for an hour, and I'm already over that time, as predicted. Jonathan Gannon among rumored head coach candidates this offseason. Well, not a whole lot you can do about it, right, Natiro? I mean, somebody takes him. I mean, I'm not going to hold the guy back from an opportunity. Eagles should trade 2 first-round picks and maybe see how Hurts does next year. If he's good, then you will ride with him. If not, then Young is another option. You're talking about the kid from Alabama. He's a good player. Might have to get up into the top 5 for him, though. What's up, Gates? Happy holidays, man. And great Eagles Monday after this win. No doubt, Eagles Uncensored. It's weird to say a playoff contender, but it's got a nice ring to it. Wish you and the family all the best. God bless. Thank you, Eagles Uncensored. I appreciate you, buddy. Hope you and your family had a great holiday as well. And I'll be here this whole week, guys. We're going to be rocking out this whole week. I got a major announcement coming up on Friday just to give you guys a heads up. Good news, though. It's good news. Appreciate you, Philly 5000. I appreciate you stopping in and talking with me, buddy. Thank you so much, Jonathan Holly. He said, don't forget to hit that like button and sub up. Appreciate you, Jonathan. Any more side hustle videos coming for members? Yeah, I'll do one for you guys. There's a whole lot going on with the channel, Jalen. I'm going to talk to my community members. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to hit you guys with a message, and we're going to talk. I'm going to tell you what's going on because there's something happening with the media company here, and you guys should be the first ones that are made privy to the information. So maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Wednesday's a really busy day. I won't be able to do it Wednesday, but maybe tomorrow or Thursday, we can talk about kind of the side hustle and what's been going on and what's happening with the channel, because pretty big information is going to come out Friday for everybody. But I'll hit you guys up, Jalen, no doubt about it. All right, guys, appreciate y'all so much. We're coming up on an hour and 24 minutes, man. We got to win. That's how I'm going to end the video. We got the win. We are still in playoff contention. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. We won. Peace out, 2020. I appreciate you, brother. All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the next. Oh, hang on. I got a quick question, Gates. I got you, Eagles Uncensored. I'll get you before I jump off. I got a quick question, Gates. Do you see another quarterback carousel this offseason? Maybe. Maybe with guys like Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins. Maybe. You might see those guys get moved, especially if, like, Vegas can convince Rodgers to want to come there and play. Possibly. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next video tomorrow, guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning.